This is going to be a really pivotal and interesting Edmonton Oilers offseason. Like, how are they going to approach this? And are they going to be able to improve in certain areas like their goaltending and the areas that we know that they need to get better? And the way I look at it is if they do, we can have a team that not only competes for the cup, but hopefully could actually win the Stanley Cup. I mean, they've been to back-to-back cup finals. I thought that this was their year, but to me, they're the closest team in Canada to winning a cup. Like, they're right there. They're like, last year they went to Game 7, and this year they went to Game 6. I'm a little disappointed that it doesn't look right now that they're going to be upgrading their goaltending. Now, that's not a guarantee. John Gibson has gone to Detroit. I've been an advocate of at least the Oilers looking at that player. I'm not saying he's a huge upgrade, but I do think that they need an upgrade there. Their goalie tandem was one of the worst in the playoffs, so you got to think that at the end of the day, if they had a better goalie tandem, maybe they would have won the cup. Now, we're not necessarily going to be talking about that today, but I just wanted to go over a couple of things with the Oilers. I like Trent Frederick, by the way, but Trent Frederick's contract, it's like, yeesh, did you really have to sign him for 8 years? It's like, I like Frederick. He was injured, obviously, in the playoffs. Like, to me, by my eye, I was looking at him, he was injured. And I just really just don't like that contract. So we're off to a bit of a slow start with Edmonton, but hopefully they still make some good changes. So question of the video, what exactly do you think the Edmonton Oilers need to do? For me, it's goaltending, and who would you go after? I actually don't even know what they would do. Because should they go after Jake Allen? I was talking about that in a previous video. That's certainly possible, at least. But he's not really a game-changing player. I think he's probably better than Calvin Pickard, so you might want to consider that. But let's hope they can make some good changes. Also, really interested to see what Evan Bouchard gets. Apparently, there are rumors that it's going to be something like 4 times 9.5. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Drop it in the comments. I feel that they should just pay him a little bit more to lock him up long term. Like, if you want to lock him up for 8 years, why not just throw him a couple extra $1 million so that you can lock him up for 8 years rather than having to re-up the contract in 4 years and save a little bit on the cap? What are they going to do with Darnell Nurse? I don't know if they're going to be able to move him, but it would be nice. But again, what the Oilers are going to be looking for on their blue line is the ability to carry the puck, more ability from back there, and that will translate to more offense. And we do have insider information from Marco D'Amico that the Edmonton Oilers have checked in on Habs defenseman Mike Matheson. And I'm wondering if that's because they got Noah Dobson, who, by the way, the Montreal Canadiens made an excellent trade getting Noah Dobson. I love that trade for them. So here we have an article continuing. The Edmonton Oilers have made it known they want to upgrade their defense, D'Amico wrote. Sources confirmed they have expressed interest in the Canadiens defenseman Mike Matheson. The Oilers are said to value Matheson's mobility, ability to carry the puck out of the defensive zone, and he does hold value. I'm not a huge Matheson fan. I think that the Montreal Canadiens should have probably traded him when he scored. He was at like a point per game one season. Like, he had a crazy good season, and I was like, that you probably should have traded him there. But apparently the Montreal Canadiens are going to be apparently negotiating a contract recently with him because he has 1 year left on his contract and he's a UFA next year. Now, he's only getting about $4.8 million, but the Habs have to be careful. If they're not going to get an extension in with Mike Matheson, which I would imagine they probably won't, you're going to be looking at a player that's going to be leaving in UFA. I do wonder if the Montreal Canadiens would actually be interested in moving him just because they have Lane Hutson, they're going to have Dobson, they're probably going to want those players to get a lot of minutes. Perhaps they don't see Matheson in their future, which is possible. I mean, God, just seeing Hudson and Dobson together is going to be pretty amazing on the Habs blue line. So maybe they're just looking to move on from Matheson in general, which might not be a bad idea for them, and it might work for the Oilers as well. Now, in other Oilers news, the Oilers are actually looking to move Victor Arvidsson as well to make cap space. I don't really know. I didn't really think that Arvidsson was that good for them. He was fine enough for what he is. But obviously, the Oilers are going to be looking to get value back. Now, there's a really interesting article that I was reading where the Oilers would be acquiring Vladimir Tarasenko at $750K retained because the Detroit Red Wings are actually looking at moving Tarasenko as well. The article continues, the 1-for-1 trade makes sense as both forwards have been mentioned as trade candidates this offseason, and the change of scenery makes sense. Tarasenko would add some secondary scoring to the Oilers lineup. Arvidsson, meanwhile, would be given a fresh start with the Red Wings. Because if the Red Wings do retain $750, both players have a year left on their contracts, and the contracts would essentially be a swap, right? That actually does make some logical sense, but perhaps the Oilers are just looking to move Arvidsson because they just want to open up cap space in general. That's what might actually work against this, because I just think the Oilers are just really need cap space. Now, in a perfect world, when it comes to Edmonton, you would probably want to move Darnell Nurse. They do have some dead cap space, and it's just, but I just really don't think that is actually going to happen without giving up a lot of assets that they might not want to give up. I've been keeping a close eye on Darnell Nurse, and apparently, according to Ryan Rishaug, that there were rumors around that, but he checked in on it, and apparently the Edmonton Oilers aren't actually moving him right now or even trying to. I personally think that that's something that they should at least explore. I don't think he's a completely useless player, but I just think he's getting paid a little bit too much for what he offers them. I mean, 5 years left at $9.2 million. That is a lot of money. It's so interesting that the cap era has created such massive issues for teams where if they bring in a player that, yeah, you think he's good, but then over time he just kind of loses his value for the team, and then of course that creates issues. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Oilers do. But I'm going to end this video here. If you make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that, guys, and make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.